Hello and welcome here to TalkFCB and welcome back to the channel here today, guys, for a full Barca news roundup and also some real debate as well in today's video. And I've got to say, it may be the international break, you expect things to be a little bit quiet, but we've had a lot of good news over the past few days. I've been quite enjoying this week so far, and coming up today, we've got more really encouraging reports coming out about the new Spotify Camp Nou and getting back there with a great capacity. I'm going to be answering your questions as well in today's video about the team, about the structure, about injured players coming back. The big question as well here today, what is more of a priority right now? A new centre-back at Barca or a new number 9? And along with all of that, we're even going to be talking about our arch rivals, Real Madrid, because honestly right now, in Madrid, things are happening, and not in a good way for them. There is a bit of turmoil brewing, so we have to talk about that too. It's coming up, so let's do it. But let's first of all begin then with that great news about the new stadium, guys, because I've got to say, even the players training there, I think we all knew and we understood at the time that was a big step for the club. To get over 20,000 fans inside the stadium for that open training session, for the players to experience the new Spotify Camp Nou for the first time. And it wasn't only a special moment for everybody involved, but what that also was, don't forget, was a big test, for the stadium. People going in, people going out, everything there just tested ahead of ramping up that capacity. And what that's basically allowed Barca to do now is to look forward to the next step, to the decisive step in reopening the stadium. Because what we've heard right throughout this process is that Barca don't really want to move away from Montjuic until the Camp Nou can hold a significant amount of spectators. They want a good crowd, they want money coming in, of course, and the signs right now, they are really, really positive, because what we're hearing right now in the media is that providing nothing drastic changes at the last minute, which, when it comes to Barca and the City Council, it might do, but okay, right now, things look as though on Monday, Barca could receive full permission for Phase 1B of their reopening of the new stadium. And what that will mean is that we can host a match with 45,000 spectators. 45k back in the Camp Nou. That is absolutely amazing, that will be. And I think the timing is absolutely crucial right now, because when you're looking at the fixture list right here, you've got Athletic Club, that's a week on Saturday. After that, you've got another game coming up there against Alaves, and then you've got Atletico Madrid at home. We actually have 3 home La Liga games in a row, and wouldn't it be great here to be back at our home, to be back at our true home, because I do believe it's had an effect. I think as time has gone on here, I just think the players are a bit sick of it now. I think they want to be in their permanent home. They want to be in the place which is so special. Being back inside that stadium will give everybody, players, fans, coaching staff, everybody will get a boost. Everybody will be able to give that little bit more, that little bit extra, and that could be vital right now for us. So I think getting back there with that 45,000 capacity, that is the ambition. Hopefully we get that approval soon, and then boy, are we off to the races. But speaking indeed about the new stadium and all of the excitement there that will come with that, well, it was interesting, I thought, to hear from Joan Laporta, because obviously this week there's been lots said about Lionel Messi, lots spoken about there in the media after his little visit to the new stadium. He seemed to enjoy himself. He seemed to be quite pleased with what he saw there from the new stadium. And Laporta has said now recently that Lionel Messi deserves to have a statue at the new stadium. Laporta has actually said there that we're going to prepare a design, we're going to speak with his family, and if they agree to that, then we can proceed with the statue to honour Lionel Messi. And I thought that is a nice touch. It would be nice to have something sort of permanent there outside of the stadium to remember the career, to honour the career of Lionel Messi. Now, Messi, of course, his personality, he doesn't like too much of the spotlight on him. He won't like too much spotlight there to be on all of his achievements, the records, the accomplishments, but I think even he'd find that quite special, wouldn't he, to be a part of our new future moving forward here at the stadium. But yeah, Laporta, he's going to have to talk now with the Messi family, and that conversation, that could be quite an interesting one. So let's stay posted and stay tuned to see how he gets on. But this is where it does get quite interesting, guys, because I want to answer some of your questions right here today, and I did have one here all about Real Madrid. I know this is not a Real Madrid channel, but can you cover what's going on at the club right now, keeping your enemies closer kind of thing? I hear Xabi is having a hard time with players, not even wanting to watch game videos there, to watch the analysis there and be part of those talks. And I've got to say, yeah, it is a Barca channel, but I think it is significant to look at what Real Madrid are doing, to see how our rivals are getting on. It's very, very important. They do the same with us. So let's talk about Real Madrid here, because yeah, Xabi Alonso is under real pressure. Now, of course, right now, they are top of the league. They won the Clásico. Everything at that point looked very, very rosy. But they failed to score in their last two games. And really, ever since the last few weeks, just speculation has been ramping up about the feeling and the mood inside the club not being so good. A few egos there maybe getting a bit out of hand. And are the players even listening at this point to what Alonso is trying to do? Because honestly, Real Madrid is a really tricky club for a coach to go in there and really stick to his identity, to bring their own ideas. Because yeah, when Alonso was appointed, looking at what he did at Leverkusen, the style of play that he had, the kind of football that he played, everybody thought, oh, he's going to bring total football to the Bernabeu. Now, that was never going to happen. And that's exactly what we're seeing. We haven't seen Alonso bring his style, his identity to this team. There's no real sign there that something is being worked on. Something is being cooked up by Alonso. His tactical plan, it's not made its way to Real Madrid. That's just not really what Real Madrid is. There's always a sense there of Real Madrid players having a bit of freedom, getting that ability to show their own talent, giving them a bit of leeway. I don't think somebody here like Xabi Alonso coming in with strict tactical instructions, somebody like Vinicius, for instance, not even really having a position. Right now he's sort of a bit part in this team. They can't quite figure out how to use him. And Vinicius is the kind of player, he's going to cause a problem. We saw it even when he came off in the Clásico. He was absolutely fuming. And yeah, stuff like that, it's not ideal for team spirit, team morale there. And I can understand that Xabi Alonso is under pressure because it's Real Madrid. It almost seems with them that they want to go down the Zidane route, that they want to go down the Ancelotti route. They want somebody here to come in and ultimately be a personality, ultimately be someone that the players really respect, but not with massive tactical ideas. They still have their style of play. They still have, of course, tactical tweaks that they make, and they're very, very good coaches. They're incredible coaches with what they've won, but they allow the players a bit more freedom. It's not so rigid, so structured. And I just think right now, it is going to be interesting to see what happens with Xabi Alonso, because apparently Florentino Perez, he wasn't convinced even to start with. It may not have even been his appointment to bring him in. So let's wait and see. Let's watch over here what's happening at Madrid. And just maybe, things might start to unravel. We do then have another fantastic question coming in right here from Maxi. Do you think our problems this season have been because of injuries or because of the structure? And will this change now when we get our players back, or will it continue to be an issue? Now, to be completely honest with you, I think when you look at the season as a whole, when you look at our problems that we've had, there's been a lot of injuries. There has also been a problem with the structure. I would say a bit of both. I think we have lost key players at key times that are really, really helpful to keep the system in place. Very, very influential figures. You think about Rafinha in terms of that pressing from the front. Missing him, it takes a massive part out of this system. So then, as a result of that, the whole structure really does start to fall down. But I do believe here that there's still glaring issues with the setup, with the way that we're playing right now. We are just not pressing with the same intensity. We are not working as hard as we were at the start of last season. There's no getting away from that. Flick has admitted it. Even some of the players have admitted it too. We are not working as hard as we were. And without that hard work, without that really driven mentality, it is going to struggle more. You are going to have more chances given up to the opposition. And I would even look at it right now and say, well, why are we getting so many injuries? We didn't get this many last season. Of course, Flick has had now a number of months, a full season with the team. But aren't we getting more injuries, perhaps because we're not training with the same intensity either? Maybe we're not seeing the full effort in the training sessions. You've got to work hard, you've got to prepare yourself, you've got to be physically ready for these challenges. And maybe right now, the way we started the season, it was sluggish, it was half-hearted at times. And I just think right now, Barca, they need that reset. They need to get players back, we need to get confidence back up, we need to get back to our stadium and just start again. Start fresh this season as we mean to go on. Because it has been an issue. We've had injuries, the playing style has been questioned, But what we need to do, above everything else, just give more. But indeed, guys, I do have right here another question, speaking about the structure, speaking here about the high line. Great one from Dylan. How much of Barcelona's high line problems are caused by us not executing it properly versus other teams actually understanding how to breach it? For me, it's more about other teams now having the data and the experience on how to breach it. And I think that's a really, really interesting question. You know, I think at the start of last season, we took a lot of teams by surprise. I think Real Madrid in particular were one of those whereby they just didn't see it coming. They didn't know how to breach it. They didn't know how to cope with Barca and this highline system. And yeah, teams have had a whole season now to get used to it, to understand it, to see, okay, you can target it there. You can do that. You know, you can make your way through if you play like this. So that is something here that Barca have to look at. And that's why, for me, I think you have to adapt things. You know, you have to evolve. You can't just play exactly the same way that we did last season, because yeah, it's no secret now. You know, the best teams, the best players, they are always adapting, they are always evolving their games to make sure they are consistently on top, that they are consistently coming up with new ideas. But just something I'd like to talk to you guys about here. Is it necessary, in your opinion, and this is a question here for you, is it necessary to be on the halfway line, in your opinion? You know, or is it actually reasonable in some ways to take a step or two back? Because the way that I look at it right now with the highline, I get it. I understand the benefits of it. I saw what it was able to achieve last season. I still believe that it can be a success. But does it need to be right on the halfway line? Because in my opinion, it just makes it so easy for teams there when they're especially running from their own half. You know, there's no risk then. It's not an offside trap because they're not offside. If you're on the halfway line, you can make any sort of run from inside your own half and you can breach that back line. So is there a need to be so aggressive, to be so bold, to be so brave in some ways? Or is it stupid? You know, or is it naive here? Barca, for me, they could take 1 or 2 steps back there. At least give the offside trap a chance. At least give a decision there to be made by the linesman. You know, give yourself an opportunity to catch players off instead of basically saying, well, if you make it through now, you are in, and there's nothing that we can do to stop you because you've come from your own half. So guys, let me know your thoughts there on how aggressive do we need to be? Is it necessary to be with that high line? Which is very, very interesting right now, because I have had a number of questions here talking about defence, talking about defenders, thinking about the January transfer window, thinking about the summer transfer window as well right here. And somebody made the point that maybe it would be better if Barca went out and signed a top left-footed centre-back instead of focusing on a number 9. Do we need a centre-back more than we need a centre-forward right now? And can I first of all start by saying, well, we didn't even replace Íñigo Martínez, which is, it's kind of ridiculous in a way when you consider that last season he was one of our most, not influential defenders, influential players. He was absolutely phenomenal. To lose him for free and then not replace him at all, I think that was naive from Barca. I think that was Barca thinking, oh, well, you know, we can get over this. We can just move on. It'll all be okay. No, it just won't. You know, he was such an important player, and we haven't even been close to replacing him. And you look at the long-term futures right now at centre-backs that we have. Christensen, well, he's set to be a free agent in the summer. Barca are allowing his contract to run down. It doesn't look as though Christensen at this point will be renewed, so he could leave the club come the summer transfer window. And I would even say there, somebody like Araujo, well, his long-term future, that's not really set in stone either. I think we need more convincing displays from him. We need to see more from him in this Flick style of play to be absolutely convinced. So I think they're looking to 2026. There's big question marks about most of our centre-backs there, apart from Pau Cubarsí, and for that reason, we will have to do something. You know, I would say along with the number 9, maybe not instead of one, but I think along with the number 9, it's very, very important to focus on defence, on centre-backs. That will be key. But what I want to say here, in terms of that comparison, a defender being more important than a number 9, I'm not sure I do agree with that. And the reason for that is, you could have, in my opinion, the best back four of anyone in the world. You could have the best defensive players ever, but if they play with this high line, even if the players are extraordinary, it can still fail. You can still breach it. You can still find your way through. And the reason for that is, it doesn't matter what centre-backs you have. Doesn't matter how good the players are at the back. If you're not pressing right, it makes no difference. You know, people will still be able to play passes through. They'll be able to get in behind. Even the best defence in the world, you can't always deal with that. Being on the halfway line, it puts you at risk. And that's why I've always said here, this system from Hansi Flick, it accepts that. It basically says, okay, I accept that we're going to concede chances. I accept probably that we're going to concede goals. We are willing to do that. We are willing to take that risk because of the reward. And that is why it is essential that you have goals in your team, that you have goal scorers, so that when we do recover the balls on the halfway line, it's not far then to go to the opposition's goal. You want crosses in the box, you want passes there inside the area. You need somebody to finish them off, because if you don't have those goals, if you do not have the end product, there's no point in playing the high line. There's no point there in having the best defence, the best midfield. You need end product. And that is why Lewandowski, he won us that game against Celta Vigo. He stepped up with the goals. He showed what a number 9 needs to do in this system. So I think right now, both players, both areas are very, very key. We will need to strengthen at centre-back. I think we also still need to look at the full-back areas too. I still don't think we're blessed in those areas either. But number 9 is key. In any Barca team, you need a top 9. Lewandowski's future is going to dictate a lot for us this summer. And I do think it's going to be a big year. I think 2026 for Barca, in the transfer window, it's going to be decisive. But indeed, guys, now it is your turn. Please do let me know in the comments down below right here, which in your opinion is more important there. Would you rather bring in a top centre-back for big money, or is that number 9 still the focus? Is that still the priority of the club? Should it be? In your opinion, please do let me know all of those thoughts in the comments down below. And if you have any more questions, please let me know those as well. There's plenty more days to run here in the international break. Let's get some more of those answered for you. Thank you indeed for the phenomenal support. I will catch you soon. But until next time, as always, Veshka, El Barça.